either on your quiz or on a separate sheet of paper be fixing these so you don't make the same mistakes for the test tomorrow. For the first section, most of the stuff is right. This should have been a zero slope. If you did not put zero, you need to remember your flip-ups. Horizontal lines, which is what this is, have no zeros. If you wrote out the word zero, that was also fine. If you put like 0 over a number, you need to simplify that completely. For 2, most of us have this, but there were some errors. So we should have had 5/7 minus 3/5 all over 4/3 minus 2/3. Some of us switched these two, which was fine as long as you switched them both. Some of us only switched one step, which messed us up, or mixed your x and y's, which messed the whole thing up. So be careful on that. Your numerator fractions needed the same denominators, which most of you multiplied these by 5 and these by 7 to get that. You get 25/35 minus 21/35 all over this. Some of you simplified here, some of you left this, it didn't matter. And then simplified after that to get 4/35 over 2/3. And then you could have either done this part in the calculator or by hand. Some of you chose to do it by hand, taking the denominator fraction and flipping it to get 6/35. Questions on that one? The points for that one were, did you set up the original problem correctly? Was your work correct? And did you get the final answer correct? Most of us were fine with the slope section. Intercepts, we had some issues. Some of us got this, some of us did not. For this question, you just had to label your x and y intercepts. It did not matter the order, but they needed, the order of the intercepts in general, but you needed to have x before y for your x intercepts. And then x value of 0 before your y for your y intercept. So as long as you had those in the right order, you got those 4 points. If you mixed them up in the order pair or said this was a y-intercept instead of an x-intercept, you missed those points. For number 4, the y-intercept you could have done without doing any work. It was given to you, the 10. You just had to write it as the order pair. Some of you did not write it as the order pair. The x-intercept you have to solve to find. So for this, you have to know that if you're looking for an x-intercept, your y value has to be 0. This is the same thing as y. So whether you change this to y or just changed it to 0 was up to you. But then you were supposed to solve from here. Subtract 10. And then some of you divided both sides by -5/2, which I didn't mark incorrect, but at this point we should be flipping this and multiplying.
Was it okay if we don't flip it?
Say that one more time.
Like if you don't flip them.
So if you divide it, I didn't mark it as incorrect, but moving forward, you need to be flipping it. So these would cancel. These you would multiply to get positive 20 over 5, which was 4. So that ordered pair would then 4 is 0. So the 3 points on that one were, did you solve to get your x-intercept correctly, as well as get your x-intercept? Do you have any questions on any of those? On the next page, or on the back, you had 2 choices for this one. I'm going to show both pieces of work. You could have either solved this to convert it back to slope-intercept form by subtracting 2x and dividing everything by -3 to get y equals a positive 2/3 x plus 2 and graph that, where you would have started at positive 2, your slope is 2/3, so go up 2 to the right 3 and down 2 to the left 3 to make that line. So that was one way. As long as your work was correct and your graph was correct, you got both points. The other way was to solve by your intercepts. So if you solve by intercepts, you would have covered one term. Let's say you solved for x first, figured out what x was, plotted that point, and then did the same thing and solved for y. Plotted that point and drew your line. If you solve by x and y intercepts, you should only have 2 points. You should not have more than that. So slope-intercept form, you could have as, sorry, I have phlegm in my throat. You can have as many points as possible, but x and y intercepts, you should only have 2. Questions about that? Um, 6 was hit or miss. Some of us got this, some of us did not. Using our Hoy bucks, this is an x equals, so it needs to be a vertical line at 3. So you need to put a point at 3 and draw a vertical line. So if you did a horizontal line or you didn't draw the line, you got half points. If you drew a diagonal line, you also got half points. Questions on that? For 7, some of us got all 5 of these points, some of us did not. So the 5 points, you were supposed to plot the y-intercept, plot 2 points, and then describe how the function was translated. So I'll write the descriptions first. There were 2 things that happened. The slope got steeper by 2, and the y-intercept was shifted down 3. If you did not write what happened, so like you just put is steeper by 2. You didn't say what that is. You missed points. If you didn't put the right transformation words, steeper, shifted, you missed points. If you didn't put the direction or the unit, you missed points. So there were a bunch of ways to miss points there. And then also, from the original, your y-intercept should have been at -3. and you needed just 2 of these points. So I'm going to draw all of the points you could have drawn, but you only needed 2 of them. So you should have only had a total of 3 points. You should not have made a line because it said don't graph a line. Questions on that? And then for the last one, this was supposed to say 8, so that was a typo. But here you just needed to circle. The slope of g of x was 1/2, and the y-intercept was 4.5 less than. So these were either you got them right or you didn't. Questions on this? Do you have any questions about the quiz, about the test in general, specifically? So then, for the remainder of class, you can be working on review, self-math if you're missing that, retake work, you can come see me for that, or you can grab your phone. But if you grab your phone, you need to be prepared for the test tomorrow because we're not asking questions, we're going to go straight into it. Use this time wisely.